The First World War had begun. Across Europe, many believed the conflict would be short, expecting their armies to achieve victory within months, and the soldiers to return home before the end of 1914. Instead, the war rapidly expanded into a global conflict involving millions of soldiers, enormous industrial resources, and battlefields stretching across Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and the seas. Germany's military strategy centered around the Schlieffen Plan, which quickly aimed to defeat France by advancing through Belgium before turning east toward Russia, which German commanders believed would mobilise more slowly. The invasion of Belgium brought Britain into the war, while reports of destruction and civilian deaths during the German advance increased anti-German feeling across Europe and strengthened support for the Entente course. During August 1914, German armies advanced rapidly through Belgium and northern France, forcing Entente troops into retreat and creating fear that Paris itself might soon fall. However, at the First Battle of the Marne in September 1914, French, Belgian and British forces successfully halted the German advance, preventing the capture of Paris and forcing both sides into defensive positions. Following the Battle of the Marne, both armies attempted to outflank one another in what became known as the Race to the Sea, eventually leading to an unbroken line of trenches stretching from the English Channel to the Swiss border. As trench warfare developed, conditions on the Western Front became increasingly brutal, with soldiers enduring mud, flooding, rats, lice, disease, exhaustion, and constant artillery bombardment while living under the continuous threat of enemy attack. The area between the trenches became known as No Man's Land, a devastated landscape filled with shell craters, barbed wire and corpses, making offensives extremely dangerous and costly. Machine guns, rapid-fire artillery and offensive fortifications made attacking incredibly deadly, causing huge casualties but only minimal territorial gains and turning the conflict into a war of attrition. On the Eastern Front, fighting remained more mobile as Germany and Austria-Hungary fought against Russia across vast distances, although Russian forces struggled with poor organisation, weak infrastructure and shortages of equipment. Germany achieved the major victory at the Battle of Tannenberg in 1914, where Russian forces suffered devastating losses, strengthening the German military's reputation while exposing weaknesses within the Russian Empire. In October, the Ottoman Empire entered the war on the side of the Central Powers, expanding the conflict into the Middle East and threatening British imperial interests, particularly connected to the British Raj and the Suez Canal. Naval warfare increasingly became important during this period, with Britain using its powerful navy to blockade Germany, restricting supplies and gradually weaken the German economy and civilian population. Germany responded through the use of U-boats attacking Entente shipping in an attempt to disrupt trading supplies, marking the beginning of a new and controversial form of naval warfare. In December 1914, Germany bombarded in cities like Hartlepool and Scarborough, marking the first instance where British people were no longer safe in the war. In 1915, the Second Battle of Ypres became one of the first major battles in which poison gas was used on a large scale, creating a terrifying new weapon that caused panic and suffering among soldiers. That same year, Italy entered the war on the side of the Entente after leaving the Triple Alliance, opening another front against Austria-Hungary and further increasing the scale of the conflict. Meanwhile, the Gallipoli campaign began in 1915 after Entente leaders attempted to capture the Dardanelles, knock the Ottomans out of the war, and salvage a supply route to Russia. The campaign quickly became a disaster, as Entente troops faced difficult terrain, strong Ottoman resistance, disease, and eventually heavy casualties before eventually withdrawing in early 1916. Meanwhile, Bulgaria joined the war, and was still bitter about losing the Second Balkan War. So, together with Austria-Hungary, they knocked out Serbia and retreated through Albania. In 1916, the Battle of Verdun began after Germany launched a massive offensive intended to bleed France dry through continuous fighting and enormous losses. The battle lasted for months and became one of the longest and most destructive battles of the entire war, symbolising French determination to resist at all costs. Later that year, Britain and France launched the Battle of the Somme in an attempt to relieve Rhodesia on Verdun and break through German lines on the Western Front. The first day of the Somme became one of the deadliest days in British military history. Tens of thousands of casualties suffered within hours, and soldiers advanced across No Man's Land during intense machine gun fire. During the Somme offensive, tanks were introduced for the first time in history, demonstrating the beginning of a new era in mechanised warfare, although early models remained unreliable and limited in effectiveness. By the end of 1916, millions of soldiers had been killed or wounded, entire regions had been devastated, and hopes for a quick victory had completely disappeared, as the war consumed more lives and resources than anyone had originally imagined. The conflict had become a brutal struggle of endurance, and the war was far from over.